guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It is 9 o'clock, which means I'm here for a Talk Magic, and I am here today with somebody I've got to know quite well over the last few months, and he is an incredible person. I don't know if you've heard of the name Seth Race. If you haven't, you should do. He is a creator. He is an innovator. He is the man that makes things happen at Penguin Magic. So if you have an idea for a crazy gimmick, Seth is the creative genius that makes it happen. He has a whole team of his disposal, and he's coming up with really weird, wacky stuff constantly, which means he's one of the most creative people that you've probably never heard of. And if you've heard me banging on about Flip Balm recently, which I was involved in, Seth was the person who created that gimmick. He is absolutely amazing, and I'm so proud to have him on the channel. Hello, Mr. Seth Race. How you doing, man?
Pretty good. Thrilled to be here. Thanks, Craig.
Thank you. You know, we're filming this on the 3rd of July. It's Independence Day tomorrow. Your brother's letting off $2,000 of fireworks tonight. And you're sitting here chatting to me. So I appreciate you spending the time before you go off and start celebrating. Thank you so much.
No problem.
So I've been wanting to get you on the channel for a while, just because on Talk Magic, I love interviewing really interesting people. And you've got what I think is one of the best jobs in the world. You get to work for the world's largest magic shop in their creativity department. People come to you constantly going, can we do this? And you're going, give me a bit of time. I described it to the cameras. You're like Q to James Bond. You know, you're the guy that comes up with all of the weird, wacky, secret stuff that nobody else knows about, that makes the spies look good. You make magicians look good.
Well, I mean, I need the ideas, you know, so people like you and other creators like myself as well, you know, with those ideas, I can help turn them into secret gadgetry.
Exactly. And I want to talk about all of that. And I want to talk about how you got involved in Penguin. And we're going to talk about your creations and absolutely everything. I really want to find out more about you. But before I do, I'm going to do what I do in every interview, which is we're going to go back to the beginning and talk about your origin story and how you got into magic. Because a lot of people, when they come on this channel, they go, I was 6 years old and an uncle pulled a coin from behind my ear. But you got into magic a little bit later than a lot of people, didn't you? Can we talk through that?
Yeah.
Go for it.
It was probably about 16, maybe 17 years ago, I got into magic. Basically, I remember in the early 2000s, there was a TV special. And this might be a little controversial for me to say this. But there was a TV special in the early 2000s called The Masked Magician Revealed. And I was enthralled by that show. Watching it, seeing the secrets, not knowing who this person was. They're just, if their secret was revealed, they could be blackballed by the magicians, you know, of the world, society, brotherhood. And it's just like, oh my God, they're teaching this stuff. And then at the end of the series, when he explains why he's done everything, is like, I've done this so magicians will stop using the same secrets that we've been using for the last, you know, 200 years, 100 years or whatever, and try to evolve and create something new. And that kind of like always stuck with me. And then like later on, seeing the like David Blaine specials and the Chris Angel Mind Freak, like that really had an impact on me as well. Like seeing the close-up magic, because a lot of the masked magician was these like stage props that are being revealed. But you know, Mind Freak and, you know, David Blaine specials, he's just doing this like close-up strolling magic, and it's like, wait, so like I could do that. And so I kind of got into the close-up performing. And I guess I've always had that in the back of my head from the masked magician, and like knowing these like secrets, and, you know, like seeing the stuff that I was reading in books or seeing at a magic store, and going like, okay, you know, I could do that differently. Like I could put a spin on that that hasn't been done before, or you know, try to innovate it in some way. And uh, so yeah, just seeing the mass magician, I guess, want to advance the art in a really backwards way by revealing old secrets, just got my brain, you know, working on like, okay, well, what could I do to be different or be better, or try to update it to make it relevant again, or um, and yeah, that's just kind of always where I've been. And literally as long as I can remember, I've been creating my own like magic tricks, and either, you know, coming along and finding something very similar to it, or you know, like just something in that same premise and going, okay, you know, these things have been explored by other people, and just like constantly working on stuff and building stuff. And my dad is a jack of all trades. He's a he's a plumber. He's a HVAC. You know, he works on cars. He's a roofer. Like he literally can do everything. And as a kid, he always told me like, you know, like why buy something if you could just make it yourself? And so like I would just like, okay, well, I don't really have money as a 13 or 14-year-old to buy this trick that I like. So I don't know how it works, but let's see if I can try to create my own method of doing the same thing. And then like, you know, there was always the older DVDs that like they taught you how to, like it would come with stuff, you know. I remember buying Rapture from Theory 11. It's
Mhm.
it's a vanishing box, um, and it was just a download at the time. There was like I think you could buy a DVD, but there was no gimmick to be included. And Rapture, you could like, you know, show the front and the back of the box, and then like wave your hand over it and it vanishes, and then spread the deck out, and you had to build that gimmick. um, there was a lot of stuff in Paper Crane's early days. Dan Hoss had this like gum wrapper that, you know, rewrapped itself. You pulled gum out and then you'd shake it and it rewraps itself, and then you can open it again. And you had to; those are things that you had to make. Um, and like now, I'm not saying that it's bad that magicians receive pre-made gimmicks. I think that's awesome. That's my job. So without doing that, you know, I would be out of work. Um, but there was a time where getting those DVDs and learning how to do it was, in a way, I think, teaching a generation of builders without knowing it.
Yeah.
Some people liked it, like myself, didn't have a problem with it. Was, you know, what's the next thing that I can get that'll let me build? Justin Miller's, I think it's Freedom Pack. It's the, you know, open deck of cards that you riffle down and like throw it, and like I made hundreds of those things. Magic Dow, I think. Um, once they had this thing called the traveling deck, and it was like a box that you would like, or no, it was a deck. It wasn't even a box. It was a deck, and you would just like cup your hands, and it would turn into a single card that you could reveal. Like I think Dynamo did it on one of his specials.
Mm.
And like after I bought that and seen how it worked, I was like, oh my god, I could make a card box version of this. Which I think they eventually released the card box version, which I'm not trying to like claim any ownership of. Like, you know, that's obviously theirs to do with and upgrade and stuff. But just like having that tinkerer brain and like, oh, I could do this or that with it. And I don't know, I just always, anytime I see a new gimmick, I try to think, what else could I do with it? How else could I use this in a creative way? And I never think that there's just one thing or one application. for a gimmick. I think every gimmick can be used for multiple things. You just have to play with it long enough to figure out what those things are.
Yeah, that's very true. So, Seth, you got into magic when you were 16, correct? Roughly around about the age of 16-ish.
Yeah, 14 to 16.
14, 16. Did you obviously you're an incredible creator and an innovator, but you don't really perform that much, do you? You're not, or what I'm trying to ask is, when you first got into magic, what did you kind of see magic as? Did you see it as an opportunity to become? Did you look at it as, this is going to be my job, I'm going to be a performer, or how were you kind of approaching magic, and when did you kind of realize, hang on, I can make an income out of this?
So it did start as this is also maybe cliche, but a social crutch. I didn't really like get along with a lot of people in high school, but I had no problem showing them magic tricks. Like, even if they weren't my friend, it was practice for me. So it's like I got to like talk to people and interact with everybody, like a normal kid, I guess. But to me, I was, practicing and showing them tricks. And even at that time, I was still building my own stuff, but I did think about, like, I could perform for people. And when I graduated high school, I started doing a couple of parties. I've even done a couple of wedding gigs. But there was a certain point where I went to a magic shop. It was called Be Amazing Magic Shop here in Columbus, Ohio. The owners have changed hands since the time that I went there. But Larry, the owner of the magic shop, put me in touch with Sean Dunn. And basically what it was is, have you ever seen Flash Paper? I think Royal Magic was the first company to release them, but it was Flash Paper playing cards.
Yes.
So I went to Be Amazing Magic Shop, where I had printed my own, like, these were before Royal Magic released theirs. And he's like, I have somebody that you need to talk to, because people need to see these. And so he gave me Sean's business card. I called Sean, left him a voicemail, and then, like, Sean called me back either later that night or a couple of days later, and he's like, we should schedule a time to meet. You got any other, like, things you've been working on? And I showed him some other stuff, and so yeah, it was this weird random happenstance of just showing a magic shop guy why I was buying so much Flash Paper, and him going, okay, I have somebody you need to talk to. And so I started talking to Sean.
And is this when Sean was running Paper Crane, or is this when he was actually?
Yeah.
So this is back in Paper Crane days. For those people that don't know, Sean and Mandy ran Paper Crane. Just to give some context here, Sean and Mandy ran Paper Crane, and then Paper Crane got bought by Penguin Magic, and Sean and Mandy now run P3, which was originally Paper Crane, and that's the creative arm of Penguin Magic, and that's what the part of Penguin Magic, not the shop, but the part that creates all of the magic, just to give people context. So else they're not going to have a clue what's going on. So you were speaking to Sean back when it was still Paper Crane.
Yeah, and the business card was actually for Anatomy Magic, which was before Paper Crane.
Wow.
So it was something Sean was doing before Paper Crane, but when I contacted him, Larry had just had an old business card. When I had contacted him, you're right, he was doing Paper Crane at the time. When I had went and met with him, I had went and met at the same Penguin Studios that you came to film at. So, like, that's how long they've been there. But I came, and it looked a lot different back then too. But I came to meet with Sean, and I don't want to say the rest is history, because there's a giant gap there that's missing. But but yeah, that was how I was introduced to Sean. And Sean had kind of given me the ins and outs of like what the magic industry really was when it came to buying and selling magic, and like things that I should be focusing my time on versus things that I would be wasting my time on. Um, like like it's not to say that organic objects don't sell, but card magic is a huge chunk of the magic market. And so Sean was one to not necessarily steer me and create card magic, but it was just something that he was like, this is very popular, if you're creative with card magic, like you're definitely going to go places. And I've always been creative in all aspects, not just card magic. So I think that was one of the reasons why I fit so well over there too, is like I throw ideas at the wall for all kinds of objects. And as strolling magicians, things that we have in our pockets, this everyday carry era now of like not wanting to have anything extra except for what's in your pockets, it's perfect because a deck of cards isn't a common object found in a pocket. So no matter how many card tricks we learn, to do magic with everyday objects, that means eliminating the deck of cards. So it's a household object, but it's not an everyday carry.
100%. So, and I want to get more into what you've done with Penguin Magic in a bit, but how old were you when you met with Sean then and had that conversation with him? Was that?
I'm gonna say I was 18 or 19.
Okay. And did you go and work for with Paper Crane at that point, or?
No, at that point I was just going up there to meet Sean. He had told me he was, like, come back, we're doing lectures. So, and I think I had gone and seen maybe like one or two of the shows or lectures, but everything else, it was just me seeing online. It was almost just me being young and starstruck, like, oh, I could never go and see these people like Danny Garcia and like I don't know, like it's fun to see Nick Popa in those old videos, like, because like in a way that could have been me too. Just a baby face Seth in the crowd, like helping everybody do their tricks. But yeah, I had just stayed on my own path, creating, focusing on that. A few years had gone by, and I had just basically took a shot in the dark and like, why can't I do this? Like, why can't I sell my own magic? I've been working on these ideas and developing these ideas, and I had been pitching to companies, Paper Crane, Penguin, Theory 11, Murphy's, Illusionist, like Alakazam. If I swear, if they had a submit a trick page, I've been there and I've done it. And I don't want to say that I've gotten nowhere from that, but all of the rejection, or just not my tricks not being good enough at the time, I still needed to work on them, I still needed to develop them further. Like, they're still just ideas at these points. They really hadn't had any life. It was just, as soon as it was birthed, it was like, all right, I need to submit this now. And I don't know, I worked on that to the point where, like I said, I felt like I could take the shot in the dark and do it myself. And I released my first download, which was a PK project. I named it Zephyr. And it was all about how to use air for PK purposes. And I know that this isn't an entirely original concept, but the workings behind Zephyr, in a way, were I had impromptu methods, I had electronic methods. It there was it's basically a device. I don't, I know this is going to be on your YouTube, so I'm okay with sharing this. But it was a device on your wrist that propelled air, and it was a battery powered device that did this. It was about that big, a little bit bigger than having your AirPod case right there. Okay. But I had submitted this to Illusionist in the hopes that it could be the next like Pure Smoke, Pure Air or something. And that was even why I had named it Zephyr, as I was trying to be creative in like the naming process, I guess. And a couple of companies like bit on it at first, but nothing ever developed. And that was why I was like, okay, there's interest in this. And, I think I talked to Bro Gilbert. And this was still when he was at Paul Harris. I had pitched it to Paul. And Bro thought that it was a James Bond gimmick. He was like, this is great. And he was telling me something along the lines of, like, first to the market wins. And at the time, that just scared me. And like, I was like, what do you mean? Like, you guys don't want it, but now you're telling me first to the market wins or something like that. And I don't remember the exact wording he used, but it scared me in a way that I was like, okay, well, if no company wants to work with me, I've bought all these downloads where people teach you how to make something. I could teach somebody how to make this. And so that was the shot in the dark I took. And, I taught people how to hold a lighter under your hand for like, while you hold on a conversation with people. Like I taught like how to hold somebody else's hand over a flame just by guiding the heat away. So it wasn't just like purely moving stuff with air. There was like a PK touch thing that I came up with, and just various uses for it. Because like I said, I never see a gimmick having one use. And like, you might look at the fan thing on your wrist and go, okay, yeah, it knocks stuff over. But to look at it and go, okay, well, that fan displaces heat. I could hold my hand over the flame, and as long as it's not too close to the point that the flame is jumping around, as long as you're not doing that, then you're not giving away the method. But in doing that, I got the itch for releasing magic, and I just like continued working on my own stuff. I released a few things on my own. I had figured out, like, I guess, how to do what I wanted to do, and I contacted Murphy's, and I was like, all right, I got this trick. I got a trailer for it. I got instructions for it. I got like 500 units. How can we make this work? And they're like, we gotcha. So, and because I had already had my account from putting out Zephyr, and so I was like, all right, Zephyr's a download. Let me take a shot at a physical. And I'm still submitting ideas to various companies this whole time that I'm doing this. And one of my close friends, James Ivy, he had his own company, Non-Plus Magic. And it was a company he ran with his brother. And I reached out to him to submit my bill matrix, what I eventually released as WMD. And he loved it. He was like, dude, we gotta jam on this. Like, can we set up a Skype call? Like, I want to do this project so bad. And so we set it up. I showed him how it worked, and like we jammed on, you know, various ways that we could accomplish the same illusion, you know, plus or minus a few materials that I was using for the gimmick at the time. And in doing that, I had just sparked a friendship with James, and he eventually asked me to, his brother stepped down and stepped away from the company, and he asked me if I would like to be a part of it. And, you know, I stepped in, and at the time they were focusing on downloads. And I was like, you know, if we're going to do this, we should focus more on like physical product. And like downloads are great, but I had even seen piracy as an issue back then. So I was like, we should get into doing physical products, even if we're just providing them with materials and teaching them how to make it. Like in my mind, I was just doing what I had learned from when I was younger, you know, like I was just going to hopefully teach another generation of creators / builders how to accomplish the illusions that they had in their head. Get that out of the way. But we released a few things, and we did great. But there became a point where James had to step down as well, and it just became me running non-plus and, you know, trying to make it work. And I eventually got to a point where like I kind of couldn't do it anymore, and I had to step away for a second. And there was a brief, I don't know, 6-month period where I had to completely step away from Magic and just try to be a normal person.
Was that because of burnout?
I wouldn't say it was because of that. Maybe a little bit, but it was just also more out of just necessity. I was looking, I guess, for something more stable, because being a creator and relying on your creations can be overwhelming at times. I think Sean was the one who said this to me, and it stuck with me. But some of the juice just isn't worth the squeeze. And so like I will build just about anything that I think about, but sometimes it's not worth it. I just build it to get it out of my head. Otherwise, I'll keep thinking about it, and that doesn't necessarily mean that I'll keep thinking about it to the point that I've designed this trick in my head like Tony Stark's 3D things, and it's like it's there, and it's like, man, you could move ink on $1 if you just built it. It's like, all right, I'll just build it. And so then I build it, and if I like it, I'll keep working on it. If I see that it was just a fun arts and crafts project, then sometimes I'll just leave it alone. And sometimes those things come back to me later on, and it's like, there was something there that I didn't see the potential in when I was younger. And now that I'm older, I have all of these other ideas, and like I can 3D design stuff like Tony Stark now. So, but like, yeah, I don't know. It's just a point where I had to step away from Magic, and I needed something more stable. And a few months had gone by, and Nicholas Lawrence reached out to me, and I will always be appreciative to him for this. But he reached out to me, and he's like, "Hey, man, I got some side work that, you know, like I need help building this stuff for Penguin, and you know they're okay with me getting the help. So do you want to come build?" And it's like, yeah, I'm down, dude. And so I pretty much drop of a hat left what I was doing to come back and build Magic with a friend, and just been doing that ever since. And then when Nicholas left Penguin to pursue his own venture, there was a small point where I was like, oh, my time at Penguin has come. like it was fun while it lasted, but Nicholas had told Mandy and Sean that they should leave the gimmick department in my hands, because in doing so, they would be leaving them in great hands.
Wow.
So just from Nicholas's recommendation, Mandy left the gimmick department open for me to run. And at the time, it was just me and maybe 2 other people. And those 2 eventually went away to the point that it was just me. And then I brought on somebody, and then we've just constantly kept bringing on people. And now we have a team of like 12 builders. And it's been a crazy wild ride.
It really has. I mean, it's just how long has it been since you were running the gimmick department on your own to where you are now? Because it's
I want to say 3.5 years.
So in 3 years, it's gone from you being on your own in a basement. And to be clear, just so everyone knows, again, to give people context, Penguin Magic at the P3 Magic Studios, the gimmick department used to be downstairs in the basements, which is creepy as fuck. And it's where old illusions go to die.
We always called it the dungeon. It was funny. My wife, when I would have to go in at night, she would be like, "Oh, it's so creepy there." It's like, please don't say that. I have to go build for the next 8 hours. Like, I don't want my first thought to be, "Oh my God, there's a ghost in the back room that's gonna get me."
But now, I mean, your gimmick department is like in a custom building. You've got your own building specifically for gimmicks, which is absolutely, all of the builders in there, lots of different rooms. I described it once and I think I was blown away when I saw it. Like, there's lots of little desks with lights and magnifying glasses. And I remember when I walked in there for the first time, it was like genuinely walking new laboratories in a James Bond film. Sean walked me in and he's like, yeah, over there, they're building little doors. Over there, they're building money balls. Over there, there's some secret stuff you can't see. Going through into the wall, there's a big freaking drill with buckets full of keys and like, master. And then you're walking around like Q and you're like, let me show you something crazy. Look, here's a bottle. Look, here's this, here's that. And I'm like, what the hell is going on here? This is insane. This is like out of a movie.
So we have about, I want to say 1,500 to 2,000 square feet facility where we build the gimmicks. And we're currently in talks of expanding that to about 4,000 square feet. So that'll be sometime in the next couple of months, actually, just because like we're expanding and we need the space. We have very small departments that we're wanting to add in that we currently can't do right now. But once we get them going, Penguin's going to be putting out even more fun stuff.
Wow. Unstoppable, right? So before we talk about what you do in your day-to-day job now, you don't have couple of questions. So Penguin keep you busy. Do you miss the performing side of things? I mean, between working on other people's gimmicks, working on your own creations, liaising with creators, you don't have time to perform, really. I mean, casually, social situations, yeah, but not.
Yeah.
Do you miss that sort of thing?
For sure. And I've even talked to them at the theater about it, because I've gotten a real itch since we've reopened our theater. There's been an itch of like, I started getting into geek magic. So like, I don't know, I just kind of want to freak people out with the geek magic. Like, wow. I do it I do it enough in private. So it's like, yeah, maybe I could do this at the theater. But yeah, I definitely, there's the itch to perform for a close-up environment, an audience. Like uh, even on this vacation I just took, I was trying to have a meeting with the director of activities, because I was like going to pitch them, like, yo, I'm a magician. I can come to this resort and perform. Maybe we work something out. I come perform for a week or two. You guys let me stay for a week or two. Like, but
Yeah.
that itch is definitely still there.
Okay. So one other question before we talk about what happens on the day-to-day, because I get this question all the time on the channel, and it's something that you might be able to help with. So you mentioned earlier on that in the early days, before you worked for Penguin, before you did any of that stuff, you were submitting stuff to various different magic companies and getting knocked back. I've had people on this channel and they've said to me, hey, I want to be a creator in magic. I've submitted it to XYZ company and they've all said no. I feel like giving up as a creator. Do you have any advice? As somebody who was in that position, getting knocked back by every major magic company, and who now, years later, runs the gimmick making department for the biggest magic shop in the world, that creates your own tricks as well, basically has carte blanche to create whatever you want to. Is there any advice that you can give? Because it must be heartbreaking at the time, right?
It's totally heartbreaking. You just, and I hate to say this again, but it sounds cliche, but you just have to not give up. There's been times where I wanted to give up. There was, the period of stepping away where it's, constantly thinking about like I need something more constant because the rejection, if you will. And it gives you a thick skin. Like, it also fuels the fire. Just because one company said no doesn't mean that that's the end of the road. There's all kinds of avenues to take. Like, you can even go the route that I did and release it on your own. Seeing the magic community or the magic industry, and thinking that you need a large company to produce your magic trick is the farthest thing from the truth. You can do it on your own. You just have to have the drive. You have to want to build the thing that you're trying to pitch to them 500 times and make them good enough that magicians are going to want it. They're not going to look at it and complain and feel that they wasted their money, because that's the other thing. We're selling to a market. Like yes, we can come up with these ideas, but are they really valuable to sell? Like everything behind me is magic. These are things that I buy to learn, to I guess make my brain blossom so I have more knowledge when it comes to building. When new gimmicks come out, like, I want to see how they work. I'm very intrigued to see the inner workings, especially as time is going on, where we have technology now that little tiny levers and stuff can be made very small. So you just have to like not give up. I guess it's very hard to say that. It's very hard to hear that. But one of my first tricks that I created it's a soda can trick where the liquid changes inside of it. So you show a Coke can and you snap your finger and open it up and orange soda comes out of it. And when I first developed that, that was me cutting apart pop cans and wrapping it around another pop can and trying to pitch that to a company and being told no. And looking back on it now, it's being told no because people would cut themselves with that. Like, you're going to sell somebody sharp metal? But as time has gone on, as technology has gone on, there's a gimmick that I use now that makes that trick work seamlessly, and it requires no arts and crafts or potentially cutting your finger very thin aluminum. But it's just, that's where I am saying, you just can't give up, because maybe it's not good right now, but as you keep developing it, you keep working on it, it'll eventually become something that is meant to be shared with the Magic community. And like, it's definitely good to get out and perform. Like, I perform a lot in casual settings, and I try to get feedback that way. But performing professionally, casually, just getting out and performing it and making sure that what you have is something that people even see as magic. Because it might be seen as a puzzle. It might not even be perceived as magic. It was like, oh, I seen something, but I'm not sure what I seen, and that's never something you want to hear when performing. But yeah, you have to stick to it, and if a company tells you no, it's not the end of the world. If it's something like a gimmick that you built, and it's custom to you and original to you, or whatever else, again, like I said, X, Y, and Z tell you no, open up your own door. Like, and sometimes I feel like that's how I got to where I got now, is being told no so many times, to the point where it's just like, okay, well, I'll just do it myself then. And every door was closed to me, so I kicked open my own door, and I got to a point where one of the largest magic companies wanted me to work for them. And I don't know, I think that's one of the best things that could happen. You don't give up on your dream, you keep working hard at it, you'll eventually get there. I mean, again, I know that sounds cliche, but I don't know of anybody who started magic on Tuesday and on Wednesday they were a professional creator selling their own ideas.
Nope, neither do I.
So yeah, I would just say any advice is to just stick to it. Let the rejection fuel you. Don't be upset by it, or if you are upset by it, don't linger on it.
Yeah.
Because it is very upsetting, and it's it can break you down at times if you linger on it. But if you just look at it as like, okay, this wasn't good enough, but the next thing will be, just move right on.
That makes total sense. And here's the question. So for any creators that are watching this, that are determined to make a name for themselves as a creator, they think they've got a really good product. How do they get on your radar? How do they get on Penguin's radar? Because you guys must have thousands of submissions every single day. How do they get on your radar as opposed to the Penguin Partner Program? And again, to give people context that are watching this, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, there's two parts to Penguin. The Penguin Partner Program is where you're given an account and you can release anything, and you are in control of it, and Penguin will promote it for you and take a small cut. But when you bring something out through P3, they are doing everything for you. It's kind of a bigger deal for Penguin because it's a P3 product. The creative team work with you. So when I brought out Keymaster and Chop, for example, that was a P3 product. That wasn't the Penguin Partner Program. That was a P3 product. So how do people, obviously the Penguin Partner Program is a great first step, but how do people get on Penguin's radar? How do they get to work with you on a gimmick? How do they get to work with the P3 creative and gimmick making team?
So firstly, I mean, it's Sean does a lot of the legwork. Sean Dunn. People reach out to him, submit ideas to him, and he brings them to the team, and he shows them to us. And as a team, we decide if it's a good fit for the company, and then we build one and see if it works the way it's intended. And then if it works and we're all amazed by it and we love it and we're like, this is great for Penguin, then, you know, we reach out to the artist and we start working with them. Like we did with you, we sent you samples of Keymaster. So you could see the keys before we made thousands of them. We do that with all of our artists now. If we build something for them, we send them the thing that we're releasing, so they get to see it before anybody else. They get to approve it. They get to be happy with it, because if the artist isn't happy, then, you know, like, nobody's going to be happy when they receive it. But I've also submitted things to the team from things that I've seen from other creators. So, you know, it's like, hey, this guy's got this really cool thing that I've seen, you know, we should do something with it. And it's like, okay, well, have him send it to Sean. And so I'll reach out to him and like, hey, I really love that. You know, like, if you're not doing anything with it, if you want to work with Penguin, we'd love to work with you. Please send an email and we'll get, you know, in touch. And I feel like everybody on the team has probably done that at one point or another. Almost been a conduit for somebody else. So I mean, if you just know somebody at Penguin and reach out to them with a cool idea, you don't even have to know them as a friend. Like, you could just like, hey, what do you think of this? And if it's a good idea, I guarantee it'll get shared with the team. I know we've done that at Max conventions, where it's just like, show us a trick. The coolest trick wins award at the end of the convention. Like, and you know, like it might not even be something that gets produced as a download or a physical product, but at the convention, you know, people would show us an independent creation of theirs, and it's like, oh my god, that's really cool. And so without using the partner program, just reaching out to Sean or anybody on the Penguin team can like really get our eyes on your idea. Because I mean, at the end of the day, that's what you want, is the team to see it, the team to like it and want to work with you. So
that's great. That's really good advice. So a couple of questions about what you do now. So you have the coolest job in the world, right? You must love going to work every single day.
Yeah, this is one of those jobs where they, you know, if you do what you love, you don't work a day in your life. And like, I do feel like I go to work, but I love what I do. There's nothing in the world I would rather do. I get to build and use tape and glue and magnets and like 3D printers and, and drill presses, like you said, like saws. Like I get to play and tinker, and I feel like I'm from Mythbusters or something, except like it's not myth busted. It's like, can we build it and make like blow people's minds with it? Yes.
That's so
it's
cool.
achieved.
That's so cool. That's so cool. So what's your favorite trick that you've worked on that's not your own? And why?
Oh man. So there's a bunch of them, but there's even some stuff that we're working on right now that's not mine, that like I've had a very heavy hand in. I'm very proud of them. But things that we've released that I've had a hand in. So the Awakening is one for sure.
Oh, that's amazing.
Because as far as I know, Dan has never released the Awakening with a company. He's always just released it on his own. So for Penguin to take it on and build it, that project, making all of those has been an undertaking.
Mm.
Learning Dan's process, and we tweaked his process a little bit, but he approved it. So he did it a different way, slightly different way than we did it. But everything is still to his standard, his schematic. But let's see, because I do have a lot of the stuff from Penguin that I've worked on. Siamese Waltz was a very fun one.
That was great.
Revamp, that was great. There's so many, Craig. So Flare was probably one of the funnest things that I ever worked on, because it was our first electronic product that the team had touched. And that was really fun to build a fire shooting marker. So Flare would definitely have to be at the top of that list, as well as Awakening. Are you familiar with Ringing the Bell by Reynold Alexander?
Oh, very, very familiar. Yeah.
So that would be another one, just because of how fun the build was. That one was a wild build.
Really?
There were boxes and bags and bell handles and bell cups everywhere for weeks, and just taking them apart and putting them back together, figuring out I came up with a really quick way to disassemble bells, and like any other way it would take you like 5 minutes, but I had figured out a thing with a drill where I could just like, and it was apart. And so we just took apart a few thousand bells that week, and just the process of gimmicking them and putting them back together was really fun. Another fun time that I had building, it was a very fun project to work on, was Smooth by Nicholas Lawrence.
Oh, yes. Yes.
So there's a part of the gimmick that we made a game out of to build them. So in like a day, 2 days, we got probably a couple thousand of these things built, just because it was like 5 of us sitting at a table and we had made a game out of it. And it's like, who can get 10 of them done, like in a row without messing them up? And you got to like time yourself and stop yourself. And we started having nicknames for each other, like Old Slow Hands, Nicky Fingers, like it was just it was just a fun time, because like that is a pure example of like not feeling like we were working, because we were just having fun. To us, we were playing a game that we created at work, that we weren't going to get in trouble for playing, because we were doing what we were tasked to do in the time we probably quicker than we were tasked to do it, because of how much fun we were having. But yeah, that was another fun one too. But I don't know, I love working here. I love getting to do all this stuff. Amanda Nepo has a really cool trick coming out soon, and that I've had a heavy hand in, and that one I'm very proud of. So when it hits the market, which should be soon, it should be this year, the next couple of months, but it's a really cool trick. It's really visual, and I'm super happy to be a part of it, because like we've worked back and forth with her, so it's one of those examples of us working with the artist, to make sure that this is what they want.
Mm.
And so yeah, it's fun and it's wild at times. But yeah, those are a few of my favorite things that we've worked on. And there's a few things over here that I can't show you because they're not out yet.
Well, a question for you is, one more question about gimmick making. Is Little Door as hard to make as it looks? Because damn, every time I play with my Little Door gimmick, I'm like, this must have been a pain in the ass to make.
So I cut Roddy's build time, I think, in half. I was very proud of that. But Roddy had different steps than I did. He also used different tools than I did. I was able to incorporate a couple of machines to help make our process go by quicker. But it doesn't take away the handcrafting element. It just gets our materials made and faster. There were certain things that we were cutting by hand that now we've kind of eliminated that. And, without having to cut them by hand, just like I said, it cuts that time down and makes things go by quicker because we have more of them. And Little Door is wild. The build process for it is crazy. It's about as intricate as you could imagine, especially the door.
I can imagine. I can only imagine. Yeah.
Because that door can be tricky at times. It can shift and go off the rails, literally, if it's not placed right. So, yeah, Little Door is wild. It's fun, though. That's something that we constantly build. Yeah, Little Door and Ravens. Those are things that we're constantly working on.
Well, I interviewed Ronnie on this channel, and he told me that some of the stuff that he comes up with, he builds himself because it's very difficult for the gimmick making team to be able to do some of the stuff that he creates because there's materials that aren't available to you or something. I can't remember exactly what he said. Is that the case?
Yeah. So there's a few of Roddy's products that are entirely handcrafted by Roddy for that reason. But there's some things that we've worked with Roddy on, like Little Door, to the point that our team was able to take it over. And how Roddy has access to certain materials that we don't have access to. I think I have access to a couple of tools that he might not have. It's not that he doesn't have access to them. I just don't think he has them. And using those tools, that's how I was able to kind of eliminate some of that build time. But it's definitely helped us keep them in stock, though, because like I said, those things sell like hotcakes on a Saturday morning where everybody's hungry.
Rightfully so. I mean, they're amazing, aren't they?
Yeah.
Trick.
It's a very great trick. It's visual. It gives the spectator the feeling that they're in on it. They get to see something that people don't normally get to see, and being able to wipe that ink away at the end too. So it's almost like tactile magic. You get a visual moment. You get to be in on this secret, and then you get this tactile moment of magic that's like, wait, none of this should have been possible. It's a really fun, off the wall premise.
That's great. Well, let me ask you one more question. Of course, I know you've got fireworks to let off. So let me ask you one more question. Well, two more questions, actually. So the first question, Do you have any advice for people that are watching this on how to be creative? I know this is a topic we could probably spend about 3 or 4 hours on, but over the years, like you've said, you've created a lot of magic, and you've also watched other magicians and helped other magicians create magic and refine it and make it better. Do you have any advice on that creative process?
I would say get in touch with your childhood side. Your inner child is your friend when it comes to creating magic, because your inner child has the sense of wonder that you lost as an adult. So if there's a favorite cartoon that you watched when you were a kid, maybe watch that again.
Yeah.
You might see something in the old Acme cartoons where somebody smashed a frying pan on their face, and it gives you the idea to smash some kind of object. And I don't know, it just be influenced by everything. I was at the store the other day, and I literally came up with a concept for a new trick. I'm in the process of building the prototype right now, but this is something that I'm really excited about. And like I get this way with a lot of my creations, but this is one of them that I'm just like, oh my God, this is like, and I'll tell you about it later, but I'm so excited about this thing.
Wow.
But just be open to things that you see at the store. Anything can be turned into a magic trick. Walk through the toy aisle at the store. Look at things in a different way. Like, how could something be seen as something else? Take basic plots and magic and see what you could do with them, like the penetrating object. It's always been pen through dollar, Sharpie through dollar. And then people started using playing cards or business cards or credit cards. And then Nicholas came up with a really cool idea to use the chapstick. A couple of years ago, I came up with a method using a key. So, just being creative with different objects, figuring out like how to apply a magic premise using a different object. Look in your everyday life, like empty your pockets, look on the table and go, what can I do with these things to turn them into a magic trick? Like an AirPod case. I had the goofiest idea, and I don't think I have any Tic Tacs, but I had the goofiest idea that the side of the AirPod case looks like a giant Tic Tac, or this side maybe looks like a Tic Tac. So like you could have a Tic Tac and then go like this and make it grow, and then like snap your finger, and now you've like turned your Tic Tacs into AirPods. And it's just like an object's shape could be twisted into being something else. I have a lighter here, a playing card, like the playing card is almost as long as the body of the lighter, minus the metal part. So like, I could probably sit here for, an hour and come up with something to do where a playing card like turns into a lighter, or something to that effect, because like seeing the size comparison of two objects and like how one object could fit into another object or become another object, or could you color something so it looks different? I don't know. It's just really looking at the world in a different way, because things can be perceived differently. I don't know if you've watched many like movies or TV But there was a movie called The Punisher that came out in the early 2000s. It's not the Dolph Lundgren one, it's the Thomas Jane one, or Tom Jane.
Yes, I remember it.
But he's interrogating a guy, and he's got him upside down, and he turns a blowtorch on right next to his face. And the guy's freaking out, thinking he's about to get burned. And the Punisher opens up a popsicle and sticks the popsicle on his back. And he starts freaking out because he thinks that that cold that he's perceiving is hot. Because in a way, that's what getting burned feels like at first.
Yeah.
Like, it almost feels like getting wet. And like, so sensations, using sensations, smells, how could you alter somebody's smell? Like Mike Hankins had an effect years ago called Illuminate that was based off of an even older idea, using like glasses or something, and you using a lighter, and like, I don't know, just finding objects in magic or outside of magic that can be used for magic is really cool, and it's a fun, creative exercise to do.
That's
like this key from Keymaster. Jay Sankey has an effect where the head of the key is also a coin. So yeah, so Jay basically looked at a key like this and was like, oh man, that's like a coin, and figured out that he could do a coin key transposition, you know, just because those two objects were very similar in size and shape. And just playing around with that idea, I think can really get you far creatively.
That's really great. Like, genuinely, that's one of the best answers to that question I've ever heard. That was amazing, Seth. That was amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's great.
And no problem. I just want to be honest.
And no, it's great. One last question about creativity. Is there anything that you're working on yourself right now? I mean, I know that there's a million things that you're always working on for various different things, but obviously you've just brought out Flip Balm, which was amazing. I know I was very proud of, you know, you asked me to be a part of that project, and, you know, it was, I think it's one of the best tricks that's come out this year. Off the back of the success of Flip Balm, what you got next? You don't have to tell us. I know that you probably can't say too much, but you're working on stuff, right?
Oh, I've got stuff constantly in the works. There's something I would like to show you that should hopefully be coming soon, if you don't mind.
I'm excited.
Is it okay if I show you?
Oh,
you're excited now? Okay. Oh, awesome. Okay. So I have a finger ring here. Can you see it?
Yeah, I can.
Now there was an old social media thing. It was an optical illusion that went around where there was this dress and people were confused. Is it white and gold or is it black and blue? And my finger ring kind of acts very similar to that. So like, what color does the ring look to you?
Black.
Black. See, from my side, it looks more silver.
Wow.
And you can kind of see that all the way around. You can even give it a little toss in the air if you want to. But you can see on both sides it's silver, right?
Yeah.
Or at least that's how it looks to you.
No, it is.
But on my side, it looks black. But again, it's just all how you perceive the ring. Some people perceive it black. Some people perceive it silver. Some people even say it's a lighting thing, but I don't get that.
That's killer. That's killer. My God. What's that called and where can I get one from? Man, that's amazing.
So that's something I've been developing for a few years now. I call it iridescent. But it
You call
should.
you
It,
broke up there. What do you call it? Sorry.
I call it iridescent.
Oh, okay.
But it should hopefully be out sometime. I want to say in the next year. Something else that I have coming out closer to that. I will show it. I'll show the gimmick, but you probably can't even see it.
That's a Sharpie there, Seth. That's all that is.
So that's a Sharpie, but it's also hiding something very, very deceptive. And yeah,
Really?
I know you're gonna love it, but I know everybody else will love it too as soon as they get their hands on it. But that's something that should hopefully be out by Christmas.
Wow. That's exciting. That's super exciting. That's amazing. Wow. That's great. That's brilliant. And
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I'm still blown away by that ring trick. I'm still taken aback by that ring trick, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
There's a bunch of other stuff it does too. So if you want, you could, let's say, have the ring on your finger, and you could show like a rubber band. You could take the ring and throw it right onto, or you could take the rubber band. I'm sorry, I said you could take the ring. You could take the rubber band and throw it right on the ring. You could even take it off, give it a stretch, and it comes right off. And that's the same gimmick.
Wow.
So, as I said this whole time, I never see a single gimmick for a single use. Everything has multiple uses. And you might wonder, like, all right, well, how could you do a color changing ring and then link a rubber band on it? So it's just two sides of the same coin, I guess.
That's brilliant. That's amazing. I will be looking out for that one, my friend. Final question, then I'll let you go to the fireworks. Last question. What's next? And what I mean is, we've already discussed this. You've got the best job in the world. You are given carte blanche. You got a team of people who you know who are creating stuff constantly. You know, you're working with some of the best creators on the planet. You're creating your own stuff. You're making a big name for yourself as a creator, as an innovator. You know, you've got an amazing job. You're very well known in the magic community, very well respected. Is there anything left on your magical bucket list that you want to hit? Or are you kind of like happy? You're like, hey, I love Penguin. I love where I am. I'm good. Or are there other goals that you want to hit in the coming years?
So I would, in both ways, I am very happy with where I am. And I would love to die at Penguin. I say this all the time. I would love to die at Penguin. I would love to die on the clock at Penguin. Just like while I'm working, just like I also think that it would be one of my, I guess, ideal goals would be to do some kind of consulting in the future for any of the big name TV performers. Hell, I'd even love to consult for Copperfield before he retires. But consulting is always something that's been up there. Because like TV magic just doesn't seem like it's going away. It just seems like it's getting better. There's more magic to be seen on TV, and you're constantly. Your son just did magic in AG or Britain's Got Talent.
Yeah.
But like it's one of those constant things that people are being exposed to. So getting to have a hand in that, I think, would be really cool. I also think it would be cool to like. Are you familiar with Benny Chickering?
Oh yeah. Yeah, he's bought some great gimmicks. You mentioned his Siamese waltz.
Siamese waltz, yeah. So Benny got a chance to work with I think the show was Constantine, but it was DC Comics. He was the hand model essentially for Constantine in that show whenever he did Sleight of Hand. Eric Jones did something very similar for a movie called Sleight. He was the hand model. So I don't know, being able to consult for a TV show that is using magic, or being able to consult for a magic special, I think is like one of the few things left on my magic bucket list. I've thought about trying to like go on Full Us a number of times, but that's one of those things where I need a full routine to perform. And it's like, what kind of routine would I do? Would I focus on like one gimmick, or would it be a bunch of different gimmicks? But that's another one of those things. Before they stop doing Full Us, it'd be kind of fun to go on there, or even Masters of Illusion. But yeah, it's just, there are a couple of goals. But I would still, even doing those goals, I wouldn't want to leave Penguin. Just like I said, the best job, like you said, like there's really nothing better, like, so.
I agree, my friend. I agree. And you know what? I've said it before, I'll say it again. You are absolutely, the heart and soul of Penguin Magic. I know from the 2 times that I've been there, so much stuff revolves around you. You are the cue to to Nick LaCopper's James Bond. Let's just put it that way. And it's just absolutely incredible what you do, what you achieve, how hard you work. And I don't think people realize just how much effort it takes to do what you do, and how many tricks that people perform around the world that they wouldn't be performing if you didn't have a hand in it, and how many tricks have been improved by you and your team and nobody's even aware of it. The amount of improvement that you've made, and the amount of, and you never get any credit for any of that. People never see it. So, on behalf of the community, thank you.
I appreciate that. But hopefully they do see my very small credit at the end of every Penguin product, because I'm pretty sure I'm in the credits.
And so you should be. Absolutely.
But no, I really do appreciate everything that you said, Craig. That really makes me smile.
It's very true. 100% true. So if people want to contact you, how can they do that? Is it best to go through Instagram or Facebook if they want to check out the stuff that you're doing? I know you've got a profile.
So I see more stuff on Instagram, but you can always reach out on Facebook too. Sometimes I just feel like the messages don't get seen as often as they do on Instagram for some reason. I don't know why. But you could also reach out to me through email if you want as well. I know that's a little old school.
Yeah, it's good. But what's your email address? And I'll put it in the description.
So it's just my name, Seth.Race at yahoo.com. All lowercase, no special characters, or, no weird name.
That's
Super Skull 525.
I've seen some weird ones over the years. I have.
Yeah.
Like an entertainment agency, I've seen some very, very strange ones. So they've never changed since high school, and they really should have changed it, because it doesn't work. Yeah. They've got kids and they're like 30 years old. And outside of that, with your handle on Instagram what is it?
See-through 52 guy. So CETHRU 52 GUY.
Perfect. That's perfect. So I want to say one more time, Seth, thank you so much for coming on the interview. I really appreciate it. This has been an incredible interview. And like I said, I really appreciate everything that you've done and you continue to do.
Thanks for having me on here, Craig. I really mean that too. I've been subscribed to your channel for a minute now. So to get to come on the channel and, speak a few words is really cool too. So.
Oh man, I really appreciate having you on here. I really do. And we're doing this late at night. Obviously, Ryland was so annoyed when he found out I was interviewing you, and he would be in bed because he really wants to meet you. He's a huge fan of everything that you've done. So
Well, maybe we'll do a separate Skype call sometime earlier in the day when he's available.
We should love that.
All three of us will jam.
Oh, that would be amazing. I would love that. He would love that.
Yeah, I'm down for it anytime.
Man, we will definitely make that happen. I can't wait to come to Columbus again and see you again in the future. I want everybody to leave a comment down below. There's a very good chance if you've bought a Penguin product, this man has had something to do with it. So leave a comment down below. Make sure you show him some love. And, I will be, and if you haven't already done so, go on Penguin Magic, type in Seth Race, have a look at everything that Seth's done and just buy it all. That's it. Just hit add to cart on everything because you know it's going to be good. And I will be back again next week with another interview. Seth, you are absolutely the man. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Craig.
No problem, guys. On behalf of Seth, we'll see you again. My name's Craig from Magic TV.
I'm Seth from Penguin.
Damn.